My greetings to everybody. Welcome back to Indian Monks. Today, very regretfully, we missed posting a poster regarding the information and the topic of discussion. So, apologies for that. Today, we'll be talking about the qualifications that we need to study Vedanta. This is a question that we hear very often. Are we eligible to understand Vedanta? Is it possible to understand Vedanta? Because people perceive this to be very difficult, very tough. But in ancient times, indeed, the process was very tough, but now things have changed quite a lot. After going to my guru, my spiritual master, I felt that this path is the easiest path. It's all because of the grace of the guru. But I would like to talk about certain things that we do need to practice to understand Vedanta more effectively. So, the competent student is an aspirant who, by studying in accordance with the prescribed method, the Vedas and the Vedangas, has obtained a general comprehension of the entire Vedas, who, being absolved from all sins in this or in a previous life by the avoidance of the actions known as Kamya and Nishiddha, and by the performance of actions called Nitya and Naimittik, as well as by penance and devotion, has become entirely pure in mind, and who has adopted the 4 sadhanas or means to the attainment of spiritual knowledge. A very big line, almost an entire paragraph. This paragraph contains the names of various steps. I will not go into the details because, truthfully, in the current times, it is not possible to practice so much. We don't have time. Our lifestyle has changed a lot. In ancient India, however, any disciple or any student who wished to realize the ultimate truth had to go through an extensive process to realize the self. But that has changed, and it is not possible for us to go through these steps in detail. But the things that we do need to understand Vedanta, if we follow the scriptures, it doesn't become possible because we have other chores, we have other activities, our day-to-day life. So in this, we cannot incorporate so much. But the things that we do need, the first thing is the devotion. Devotion for whom? Devotion for the guru. We need a guru. That is the first step. People ask me, can't we do it without a guru? It's not possible. Without a spiritual master, you cannot realize the truth. Be it any sphere, any field, any form of study, you always need a guru. A guru is very different from that of a teacher. A teacher is somebody who imparts education, mainly worldly teachings. Things that will help us in our day-to-day lives, things that will help us to earn a livelihood. But a guru is somebody who dispels ignorance and helps to light the knowledge within, the fire of knowledge within. So we need a guru without whom we won't be able to understand Vedanta. So it is devotion towards the guru, it is belief towards the guru that will help us to realize the self. The first thing is devotion. So there was one disciple of my master, Bhagwan. So he wrote a letter to Bhagwan asking, please give me some directives which will help me to advance upon the spiritual path and which will help me to do spiritual work. So Bhagwan wrote another letter in reply. He said, below, I am giving you certain directives which will help you to progress upon the spiritual path and do good work, good deeds for people. The first was devotion for the guru. The second was devotion for the guru. And the third directive was devotion for the guru. If you have devotion towards guru, if you have belief and faith in him, then advancing on spiritual path, realizing the self, understanding Vedanta becomes very easy. So this is the first directive that we need to follow. This is the first thing that we need to understand Vedanta. Second is sincerity. We have to be sincere towards spirituality. Spirituality doesn't only, it's not a food for our curiosity. Multiple people come on spiritual path just out of curiosity to understand what it is about, what spirituality talks about. Some people come onto this path because they have lots of sorrows and sufferings. So for momentary peace, they come on the spiritual path. They don't want to go deeper into this subject. There are very few people who really want to understand what spirituality is. They really want to realize truth. And for this purpose, they come onto this path, like Swami Vivekananda. He was very young when he went to Thakur Sri Ramakrishna. And the first question that he asked was, have you seen God? Can you help me see God? And the answer was positive, of course, because it's Thakur Ramakrishna. So in order to understand Vedanta, we have to be sincere towards the subject. We have to be serious. This path is, it doesn't allow casual attitude. You can't just go and sit and listen and come back. You have to listen and contemplate on everything that you're listening. So sincerity is very important. There are various paths that help us to realize the truth. We can meditate, we can contemplate. There is devotion, there is the path of karma or actions. We can choose any path that we want, but we need sincerity. We sit for meditation for one day and we don't do it the next day. We feel it's very tough, let's just leave it behind. But a person who is sincere devotes time, no matter how difficult it is to meditate or do other stuff that has been advised to do on the spiritual path. It is sincerity. Sincerity acts as a fuel that helps us to go on. Otherwise, we just give up. We stop doing meditation, we stop doing the spiritual practice, and this doesn't help us move forward. So the second thing that we need is sincerity. Third, we need to love the subject. We need to have some love and interest towards Vedanta. If it's just out of curiosity, then it will not last long. I will just go through, and if I find it to be very difficult, I'll just give up reading. So I need to love the subject. Whichever subject we are interested in, we try to delve in deeper to understand the inner meanings of that subject. We pursue the subject that we are interested in. So we have to grow our interest in Vedanta. And last but not the least, the thing that we need is longing to know the truth. We have to have an intense longing for the truth. Vedanta is not a food for our intellect. It is not just a mere intellectual subject that helps us to pass our time or engage in debates, go out and give lectures. It is not only for that purpose. Vedanta, the main sole purpose of Vedanta is to help us realize our true self, which is Atman or Brahman. And we need to have an intense longing or desire that yes, I want to realize myself, I want to realize the truth. I want to know who I am. I want to realize the ultimate truth. So these four basic stuff, there is one more. The last one is detachment. The practice of detachment or vairagya, which is renunciation. We are very scared when we hear about sacrifice and renunciation because we feel that we have to give up everything to pursue spirituality. But this is not true. This perception is very wrong. We don't need to give up anything. My Master Bhagavan, he didn't renounce anything. He lived the life of a householder and still he realized the ultimate truth. And that's how he has inspired us. Well, I didn't have to sacrifice anything to realize the truth or realize anything or have any spiritual experience. Renunciation does not mean giving up money, fame, your job. It is renouncing the attachment. Renunciation means giving up the attachment. You can live in your day-to-day life. You can live the life of a householder. You don't need to become a monk to understand spirituality. You can live your life. You can live with money. You can live in luxury. You can live in comfort. But you shouldn't be attached to it. You shouldn't have expectations. You shouldn't harbor expectations within yourself. This is renunciation, renunciating from within, not outside. Even if I give up my life and go to the jungle or to the woods to practice spirituality, if my mind is not into it, then you cannot call it renunciation. Renunciation happens from the mind. It is not just giving up objects, wearing a saffron robe that makes you a monk or a person who has renunciated everything. It happens from the mind. Detachment comes from the mind. So detachment is very important. It is important to realize that no matter how much we pursue material pleasures, it will not give us bliss and peace. This is what we can realize. This is what we observe from our life. No matter how much we run for money and fame, we get very little in return and nothing satisfies us. This is the truth of life. No matter what we do, we are never satisfied. We are never content with anything. So it is very important to realize, no matter how much this truth hurts, material pleasures can never give us happiness. This is why the ancient saints and sages, thousands of years back, they have already proclaimed that the only path on which you can attain the truth is spirituality. Otherwise, it is not possible. There is no other way to be happy, to be peaceful. So detachment is a very important factor for understanding Vedanta or realizing the truth. If we follow or we practice these 5 directives given by every spiritual guru, it's also there in the scriptures, then things become a lot easier. We do not have that much time to devote towards spirituality. We cannot engage ourselves in spiritual practice for 10 hours or 12 hours or throughout the day because we have other work to do. No matter how much we practice, be it 5 minutes or 10 minutes, if we are sincere, if we are devoted, then that 5 minutes will matter a lot. It will help me to advance a lot on spiritual path. We get scared when we read the scriptures because the scriptures say that if you don't practice certain things, you will never become eligible of understanding Vedanta. So this is why we feel that maybe I am not competent enough to understand what Vedanta is. Maybe I will never be able to understand it. But this is not the truth. This was the situation thousands of years back. But now, if you have a true guru, like I got my guru Bhagwan, and things have been very easy for me, truthfully, I didn't practice that much. I didn't perform any austerities. I didn't perform any penance. It was all because of my guru's grace, and it was all because of my guru's power that I was able to realize what I have realized, no matter how minimal that is. So if you have a guru, if you have a competent guru, if you have these 5 factors which I just mentioned, then realizing the truth is not difficult at all. You have to have that longing. A person who desires the truth the most attains it. This is the truth. This is the truth, absolute truth, that if you long for that absolute truth, you will definitely get it. If you do not have longing, then you will never receive anything. There is no attainment if there is no longing. And this is true in every aspect of life. It's not just spirituality. Even if in our day-to-day lives, if there is something that I really want from my heart, from the bottom of my heart, then I do whatever is required to attain that object. I pursue that object relentlessly until I get it. This attitude, this tenacity, this attitude is what we need for spirituality. Spirituality is for the tenacious people. People who don't know how to give up. People who are hardworking. People who are ready to work. When my master Bhagavan went to his master Swami Pavitranandaji, there is only one thing that he asked his guru. Tell me what I have to do and I will do everything for truth. If you ask me to renounce everything, I will do that. If you ask me to meditate for hours, I will do that. No matter how much difficult it is, I will try. This is the attitude that he had. And this is what helped him to attain the truth very easily. So there is no need to be scared. There is no need to think that I am not competent to understand Vedanta. I went to my guru when I was 12 years old. And when you are 12, for a 12-year-old, Vedanta is something which is very difficult. That is not the age when you can understand Vedanta. And I was not interested in Vedanta at all when I first went to my guru. But gradually I started understanding, and then I developed an interest in that subject. I never considered myself to be incompetent or competent. I always prayed, let me just try and see. My guru will guide me. Let me just try and see. So once you try, once you start walking on the road, you will reach the destination at some point. If you sit at home and if you say that I'm not being able to reach my ultimate destination, then that attitude, that approach is not right at all. Once you start walking on the path, every turn will take you to the ultimate destination. But you have to practice. Even Thakur Ramakrishna practiced so much, and he's an avatar, he's an incarnation of God. Same goes for my Guru Bhagwan. He was a railway employee when he went to his guru. He was married with a family. He had to look after lots of people. He had a very big family, big extended family. He did everything. He discharged every duty that he had, every responsibility that he had, but still he found time to practice spirituality. He found time to practice meditation, to contemplate. He used to wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning to practice meditation. He had night shifts. He had day shifts. He was very busy with work, but he never gave excuse that I don't have time to practice spirituality. So we have to be serious, devoted. We have to love the subject. We have to have faith in our guru. We have to have that intense longing and practice detachment. And this will be enough. We don't need to do lots and lots to understand the truth. So now it's easy. And with my Master Bhagwan, it's much more easier. All the practices that has been suggested in the scriptures, its objective is to purify our minds, increase the longing from within, and help us to focus within ourselves. Our mind is always going astray. It's always diverging to different paths, different material subjects and objects. We are always focused on the outside world. We don't feel the need of self-introspection. We are not self-introspective. We don't look within ourselves. We don't sort ourselves out. We are always busy pursuing material subjects and objects. And this is what, helps us to lose ourselves. This is what guides us to lose ourselves. So all the practice, it's all to concentrate within ourselves, to maintain the focus. The more we meditate, the more we contemplate, the more it will help us to push our minds inwards. It will help us to stay focused on the truth. It will help us to purify our minds. It will help us to obliterate the desires that we have. We have thousands of desires. We don't even have track of it. We feel that the more we fulfill our desires, the more happy we will be. This is what we believe in our lives, but this never happens. The more we fulfill our desires, the more desires comes from within. So it's like a never-ending flow. We can never stop it. We cannot put an end to it. It just keeps on coming, and we don't get any rest. There is no respite from our desires. So the more we practice spirituality, the more it helps us to decrease our desires from within, until we are only left with the desire of knowing the ultimate truth. This is why the spiritual leaders, they are very happy and content because they don't have any desire. They know there is nothing to give, nothing to take. They are fulfilled, they are content, they're satisfied, they don't need anything. It is because they have realized the truth and they have practiced to realize the truth. They have given strenuous efforts to realize the truth. And this is what we need to do in our day-to-day lives. We have to make spirituality a part of our life, a part of our routine. Be it prayer, be it meditation, be it contemplation. We have to do something every day. We can start with 5 minutes and we can gradually increase it. Because once a person starts to meditate, he can never give up. Because there is a different taste in meditation. The feeling of peace, the taste of peace and bliss, it's just something that you keep longing for more and more. You keep craving for that peace. So, me myself, there was one point where I didn't like meditation at all. It was very disturbing for me. But once I got the taste of peace within, due to the grace of my Guru, I was always looking forward to sitting in meditation. Whenever I used to get time, I used to sit for meditation. To get that taste, the taste of peace that you feel when you meditate, when you focus within yourself, when you forget about everything else. The state where your desires keep on decreasing. So this is why you need to practice every day. And we don't have to have qualifications to understand Vedanta. It's not that I already have the qualifications. After that, I'm going to a guru and listening to Vedanta and I'm comprehending it. Sometimes we can practice spirituality and develop the qualifications through walking on this journey. We can develop the qualifications from within, even if we don't have it. So we don't need to worry that I have an impure mind, I have so much desire within me, I am so attached to so much stuff, I don't have vairagya. You don't need to worry about that. These will gradually come with the practice of spirituality. We will develop everything from within. There are many people who ask me, what should I do to get rid of my anger, get rid of my greed, to give up jealousy? What should I do? I am very disturbed all the time. I cannot calm my mind. What should I do? How to get rid of my anger? Every time I give the same answer. We don't have to put conscious efforts into removing these. I want to remove my anger, let me focus on that. You don't need to do that. We just need to focus on the Brahman, on the truth. We just need to focus on finding my own self. And these will gradually go away. We don't need to put conscious efforts into removing these. Anger, greed, ultimately, in the ultimate truth, all of these don't exist. Even anger, greed, all these are illusion. It's my ignorant mind that makes me think and feel anger. It makes me think that I'm angry. It makes me feel anger. Ultimately, everything is illusion. So you don't need to remove it consciously. We just need to focus on our prayers, on our meditation, on our contemplation. We don't need to make anger a subject. We don't need to focus on this. We just need to focus on truth, on or God, or Brahman, or Atman. It's all synonymous. So if we practice daily, we will develop all these qualifications from within, and it will help us. It will truly help us to progress on the spiritual path. Knowing Vedanta does not mean knowing various scriptures, knowing the Sanskrit hymns or the shlokas. Knowing Vedanta means knowing the truth. I cannot say that I have read tons of scriptures. I am very well versed in Vedanta. The person who has realized Brahman or Atman, he is the only one who knows Vedanta. So Vedanta is not a subject of erudition. You don't have to be a pandit or a knowledgeable one. You don't have to be a scholar. You have to be a realized person. There is a major difference between a scholar and a self-realized person. A scholar can just quote from different scriptures. He does not know the meaning behind any of the shlokas. But a self-realized person, a person who has realized the truth, knows the meaning behind everything that is mentioned in every book. He knows the essence of every scripture. So it is important not only to read the books, but to understand and realize what the subject, what Vedanta is trying to teach me. We have to read in between the lines, not just go through, not just browse through the pages. Every purpose or every practice, every practice serves the main purpose of purifying the mind, but upasana aims at the concentration of the mind. So all the upasana is a Sanskrit word that we will find in the scriptures. Upasana means not just prayers. We think upasana means to just do some prayers and chant some mantras or light incense sticks. It's not just that. Upasana means to concentrate the mind. Where should we concentrate our mind? We should concentrate it on the truth, on Brahman. Contemplation means contemplating between the true and the false. Vichar. Vichar is contemplation. We have to study Vedanta and contemplate. Why are the scriptures saying that the world is false? The world is relative truth and not the ultimate truth. So analyzing and contemplating is very important. And gradual daily contemplation helps us to keep our minds focused within. It helps us, most of the people meditate to just increase the concentration of mind so that they can do their daily chores in a better way. But meditation has a much deeper purpose. The purpose of meditation is to realize the truth. It is to remove all the unnecessary stuff from our minds. All the bad thoughts that we have, all the worries that we have. To remove everything, to be in the present, and to seek my true self within me. This is the main purpose of meditation. It is not just to temporarily calm my mind. Meditation is not a temporary result. It doesn't give us a temporary result, and it's not a temporary measure. It gives us the ultimate truth. It helps us to find the ultimate truth. The Smriti passages say that you have to practice to destroy sins, and for this we have to practice austerities. Well, ultimately there is no sin. We are very worried about doing good. We don't want to commit any crime or any sin. But I remember a saying of Thakur Ramakrishna when one of his disciples, Girish Chandra, told him that I have committed a lot of sins. I am not competent enough to be your disciple, to be your devotee. I cannot realize the truth. I have committed a mountain of crimes and sins. And Thakur Ramakrishna had replied that it's just a mountain of cotton. I can just blow on it and it will all fly. It will all go away. It's nothing. So in Vedanta, there is no sin. There is no good deed, there is no bad deed. Because Vedanta only talks about the ultimate truth, that is Brahman, and there is no second existence apart from it. The only truth that exists is Brahman. It's one without any second existence. Ekameva dvitiyam. But in scriptures, the ancient sages have talked about sins because we are much concerned about it. Ultimately, there is no sin, but while we are in this plane of relative truth, in this world, there are many sins and many good deeds. So this is why, for us to understand, to make things easier for us, the sages and saints, they have mentioned sins in the scriptures, and practicing austerities can help us to get rid of these sins or destroy these sins. Well, I think the only sin that we commit is pursuing material happiness. That's the only sin that we commit, and each and every resident of this world is committing this sin. Swami Vivekananda has said that the only sin a person commits is when he considers himself to be weak, as in limited, finite. When a person considers himself or herself to be a mere human being, that's the gravest sin according to Swami Vivekananda, because he knew that we are not just mere human beings, we are the infinite Brahman or Atman, which is beyond everything, which has no limitations. So this is the gravest sin that we commit. It is our ignorance that is making us commit these sins. But if we practice spirituality, all these will be gone within a blink of an eye. Austerities also helps us in a purification of the mind. The purification of the mind leads to the comprehension of the true nature of samsara or relative existence. From this results vairagya, which arouses a desire for liberation. From this desire results a search for its means. From it comes the renunciation of all actions. Thence the practice of yoga, which leads to a habitual tendency of the mind to settle in the self. And this results in a knowledge of the meaning of such Shruti passages as, "Thou art that," which destroys ignorance, thus leading to the establishment in one's own self. Very big lines. So this passage, it tells us the process, the steps that leads to the ultimate truth. First is practicing austerity, which will help us to purify the mind. What is a pure mind? A pure mind is a mind which is devoid of any material desire and which only seeks God. That mind is pure. Otherwise, all we have is impure mind. All of our minds are impure because we do not seek the truth. We do not seek God. So once our mind becomes pure due to spiritual austerities and practice, it will help us to comprehend the true nature of this world, of this samsara, which is the relative truth. What is the true nature? That this world is false. This world is not the ultimate truth. This world is unreal. It is not possible to gain or attain bliss and peace and joy or happiness in this world. This is the true nature. A person who has a pure mind understands the true nature of this world and seeks renunciation from it. Once we understand that this world is false, that is when we start searching for the truth. That is when we want to come out of this web. This world is nothing but a web of lies. It all depends on self-interests, nothing else. It's just a web of lies. So once we understand that this is a web where I'm stuck, that is when we want to come out of it. We don't want to remain trapped. And this is when we develop vairagya or detachment. This is when all our mind gets focused on the truth. We don't have any more desire to do anything in this world because we understand its true nature. This is what Vairagya is, this detachment. And this arouses a desire for liberation. We want to free ourselves from this web of lies. Every spiritual aspirant, a sincere, devoted spiritual aspirant, wishes to free himself, liberate himself from this world, from the clutches of ignorance. From the desire of liberation, once we get this intense longing of liberating ourselves, that is when we start seeking the path. We start seeking the means. How can I liberate myself? How can I liberate myself from this nightmare? How can I liberate myself from this world which is not real? And that is when the scriptures help us. That is when we practice yoga. Yoga means to get connected. Get connected with what? The truth. So yoga is the process. It can be jnana yoga, means the path of knowledge. It can be bhakti yoga, the path of devotion. It can be karma yoga, the path of actions, or Raj yoga, the practice of meditation and penance. Raj yoga is very, very extensive, and I have very little understanding about this path, so I cannot really reflect much on it. There are various paths that we can follow that can help us to reach the ultimate truth. And this practice of yoga, be it whatever yoga, it leads to the habitual tendency of the mind to settle in the self. The more we practice, the more it helps us to settle down within ourselves. That is when our minds only pursue the truth. It seeks nothing in the outer world. And the more we settle down, at first we seek the truth. Then gradually we settle down on the truth. And finally, we merge with the truth. We become truth ourselves. We come to realize that me and the truth, we are not separate, we are one. I am the truth. And this is what that has been mentioned in the Shrutis. Thou art that, you are that, which means you are that ultimate Brahman or Atman, you are that ultimate truth. So it is due to our ignorance that we feel that I and the truth are separate. Me and Brahman, it is separate. I have to attain it. But once we realize the truth, we realize the truth is that I am Brahman myself. There is no separation. There is no division. I am already that. I don't need to seek for happiness and bliss and peace because I am the embodiment of bliss and happiness and peace. I am happiness myself. So I don't need to go out and seek for it. This is why we don't see rishis or saints and sages going out and seeking happiness. They just sit at one place, immersed within themselves, because they know that they are the embodiment of whatever the other people are pursuing outside. It's so easy for them. And throughout our lives, we work hard and we gain nothing. The saints and sages, they are very intelligent. They know where they will find the ultimate stuff. They know the secret. It's not a secret at all. The scriptures have mentioned everything. The ancient rishis and saints and sages, they have spilled everything. It is not a secret. But since we are not interested in the subject, since we are not interested in spirituality, since we do not read the scriptures, it is a secret to us. We don't dive in deeper into these. This is why we don't know how to lead a happy life. But all the spiritual people, they are so happy and content. Once we realize the truth, it destroys ignorance, thus leading to the establishment in one's own self. So after we realize the truth, we get established in the self, get established in Brahman. So this is the practice. These are the steps that leads from one to the another. But the main thing is we have to practice. Dedicatedly, we have to practice every day without fail. We have to devote a certain amount of time. And if I say I don't have time, then it's just an excuse. And this is the excuse of a weak mind. And I just said a few minutes back, the Swami Vivekananda has said that a weak mind is a sin. That's the biggest sin. Weakness is the biggest sin. So we have to strengthen ourselves. We have to dedicate some part, some time out of our daily schedule. We have to devote some, be minutes, not seconds though, an hour or 15 minutes or half an hour. The first day is always tough. Just we have to go in our own pace. We don't need to pressurize ourselves. I have to sit for 1 hour, otherwise it won't work. So meditation, spirituality is a spontaneous process. So we should go at our own pace. There is no pressure. But we have to do it every day and make this a part of our lives. This will truly help us to reach the ultimate goal that I just read out from this book, Vedanta Sar. It will help us to one day become established on our own true self. So though the scriptures do talk about competency, it does talk about eligibility, but there is no need to worry. Even if I find that there are some incompetencies that I have, I can always develop every quality through practice. But it will just take the first 5 assets or attributes that I discussed when I started the live. If we practice with dedication and sincerity, we will truly reach the truth. We will truly reach happiness and peace. So that will be all for today. Next Saturday, I'll be having a live session in English, and I will discuss on many other spiritual topics that people always keep on asking me, people want to know. So for today, I'll just leave it here. See you next Saturday. Before that, in Tuesdays and Thursdays, I speak in Bengali. So you can also join that live if you want. I hope this discussion was helpful. Thank you so much for joining. That will be all for today.